Hello, our dear viewers. My name is Irina Uzlova, and today we are honored to speak with the Ambassador of Belgium to Ukraine, Luc Jacobs, and we will talk about how to make Russia sit down at negotiating table, whether NATO is ready to raise its defense spending, and how Belgium views the current and future security challenges to their country and to Europe in general. So, dear Mr. Luc Jacobs, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So every day here we and you see how Russia and their coalition of killers who supports them, for example, Iran, North Korea, attack Ukraine. Dnipro, Kyiv, Sumy, everywhere, all our cities and citizens and its civilian infrastructure, building with people, with children, they are injured. Putin make genocide, against Ukraine. But we see that sometimes, for example, American leader Donald Trump is only disappointed. The 18th package of sanctions was postponed because we see new wave of war in the Middle East. Yes, you understand, but we have our war here and we have damages every day. So I want to say about your words that you talk to my colleagues in Ukraine Forum that the lives destroyed by Russian strikes on peaceful cities are an acceptable price for the lack of a united resolve to bring the aggressor to the negotiating table. So how can we bring aggressor to negotiating table?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for the question. Indeed, we have to form a united front in order to send out a strong message, and a message that is underpinned by strong sanctions to the aggressor state. And when the question is how can we reinforce these sanctions, in the first place it is very important that we analyze well in what way the consecutive sanction packages that we have already adopted, in what way are they effective, in what way can they be improved upon, and in what way can we see to it that they are effectively implemented and that they are successfully implemented. So that is a constant work of follow-up that is being done, and Belgium, among its partners, is very much engaged in that exercise. Then we see also that there is still room for further sanctions, and we have to be very smart in identifying the areas where we can really make the cost of this war for the aggressor state much more costly. And identify areas in which we can put that pressure. Now, oil and gas prices have been mentioned, but there are various factors that are playing. We also have to see how we avoid the avoidance of sanctions, the circumvention of sanctions. So we have to be smart in detecting those channels through which sanctions are being avoided, and also see to it that those channels are cut off, and we have to find other areas that are really and effectively causing problems to the Russian war machine.
You're quite right, because it's the biggest problems. Despite a lot of packages of sanctions, Russia can avoid it due to private companies, to another countries, technologies from this. So, but what we can do with this? So, with private companies, for example, or another countries, we have no influence to them. For example, Kazakhstan or Turkey, even sometimes you cannot say stop and cut off. What to do?
Yeah. In any case, what is important to see is that sanctions work. Sanctions really cause pain to the Russian war machine. That is for sure. That is also why we see that Russia, when it came to its wording of conditions for a ceasefire and so on, they immediately spoke about stop the sanctions. The best proof that sanctions work. Sanctions work, which also means that indeed there is this tentative, or that it is that Russia is attempting to avoid them. You mentioned the private sector. In my personal view, indeed, we can still do more to sensitize the private sector about certain trade routes they use, about certain clients they have, whether also the private companies could double check who are these clients. We sell certain products to them, we think we sell them to them, but they sell them further, and so on. So there is a lot of there is an outreach to do towards the private sector as well, in order to make them better understand how what they sell in good faith can find their ways to production of to the let's say to the war economy in Russia. So I think there is an important role for that type of action as well.
You know, Mr. Jacobs, it seemed to me that only one goal Putin wants to realize using Istanbul negotiations is to avoid or delay sanctions. Only why these reasons that they make look that they want a negotiation from childhood. Yes, or maybe.
That is why, because of this unwillingness to, well, first of all, to stop the war. I mean, it is Russia that started this war. It is Russia, in the first place, that can stop this war from one day to the other. If Russia is unwilling to do that, if Russia is, let's say, thinking it is that that it is winning this war and that it is therefore in its interest that it can drag on, that it can sort of buy time in order to reach what they deem to be their objectives, it is important to make the cost of this war higher for them.
But they don't think about how it costs, or maybe these days they start think about it.
I cannot see in the heads of those people that are that were deciding about this war, that are continuing this war. I think we would it would be in our interest as well, indeed, to analyze as much as we can, and I think we have a lot of instruments and data to do that, to see how the Russian economy is suffering. This is certainly an area in which we can improve our knowledge in order also to adapt our strategy. But again, I have analyzed the so-called Russian conditions for a ceasefire. When you look at them, it is about sanctions, it is about their economy, it is about assets and so on. So by analyzing these conditions, you can exactly pinpoint where it hurts, and that should encourage us to continue hurting the economy in that sense. We already hear about huge inflation figures, interest rates that are immensely high, in a way that is not healthy for an economy, for a sustained economic development. So, yeah, let's analyze well in how much the Russian economy is suffering.
Sanctions work. I agree with you. Maybe not very fast, but step by step and year by year, Russian economy is suffering. But talking about gas and oil and depending on Russian Federation, we know that for a lot of years Russian have used this instrument like pressure, like such. Like in a Russian prisoner with oil and gas. But some weeks ago, Politico reported that France and Belgium wanted to assess all risks to say no to Russian oil and gas at all. But what risks are the main in this case? Why it can be painful for economy or for such energy infrastructure sphere?
Yeah. The simple reason is that our industry is still very much dependent on fossil fuels, on oil and gas. And you cannot change that overnight. You cannot even change overnight your supply lines, so that also takes time. And when I speak about smart sanctions, it is also about sanctions that hurt the enemy more than they would hurt us. So we have to be careful about that. Now, I'm a former special envoy for climate. And in that function, we have been working a lot around the whole issue of the transitioning away or energy dependence, away to transition away from fossil fuels. It is the best thing we can do for the climate, but it is also the best thing we can do for our own energy security and energy independence. So my view on this is that in reducing drastically our dependence on fossil fuels, on oil and gas, from wherever they come, but especially from Russia, we are serving two major strategic objectives. It is reducing climate change, and it is making ourselves energy independent from a country that constitutes a real threat to your Ukrainian and to our security.
And about which period of time we are talking now? It's to 2030, for example, 2027. How many years we need?
Mm-hmm. I cannot put exact years on this, but it is also when it is. I mean, this will take decades. But we also have our climate objectives, where we also want to reach these objectives by, for example, by 2030. So it is up to the, I would say, the inventivity, the resilience, the political will, the societal action, the action also by the private sector in order to work towards that same goal.
Long way strategy. Not very easy, but quite right.
And indeed, it is not an easy one, but we should consistently be working at that. Yeah.
And thank you for it too. So we see NATO summit in The Hague, very symbolic because we wish that Putin one day will be in The Hague, but not on NATO summit, like a prisoner for all his war crimes, yes. And what we see, how can we assess nowadays risks for NATO, Trump's different wishes about 5% of defense spending, so your general assess about it, please.
Mm-hmm. The NATO summit is an important moment to show unity by NATO allies. The transatlantic solidarity and transatlantic unity is a well-established fact. And contrary to what we could read a lot or that we would hear from the other side, that NATO is losing its relevance and so on, is certainly not the mindset that we will find during this summit. There is a resolve to keep supporting Ukraine in its just defense of its sovereignty, of its territory, of its values, and at the same time being in the first line of defense of our security. So that is certainly a non-brainer, so to say. That is part and parcel of the NATO essence. NATO essence now. There is, of course, also the conscious taking that we have to beef up our own efforts in providing for our own security. That is maybe indeed that has been an interesting signal that has been given from the White House, that we should not take American support for granted, that we should not think that we Europeans do not have less responsibility there, because we can in any case count on the United States. So it is maybe not bad that things are set straight, and that there is a common resolve and a common conscious taking that we have to do this together, and that translates through the increased defense spending in terms of GDP. The figure of 5% is a very important symbolic but tangible criterion. It is about pure defense spending. It is also about critical infrastructure, or everything that we can, every investment that is being made and that is also indirectly contributing to our security. But these are important efforts. It is a very important signal that is given within NATO and towards the outside world. Belgium will play its part in that. We have important budgetary challenges. We have already the new incoming government that is in place since February has already made sure that we abide by the pledge that was made earlier on within NATO, that we would reach by the end of the year the 2%. That is an important budgetary and investment effort, but we will do that. And when it comes to the 5%, of course, that will be added, that will ask for further efforts. And there we will have to see in what way we can either be flexible in terms of where we spend the money, in terms of how, in what period we can, in what lapse of time we can reach the 5% and so on. But this is like the modalities in which we will be able to work within a 5% setting. Now, the last thing I would like to remark on that, these percentages are absolutely, they are key. They are an objective indicator of the effort that the country does. At the same time, we can also say that Belgium is present in any major NATO and EU operation. We are contributing to the Baltic air policing with our F-16s. We are contributing to mine detection and clearance operations in the Baltic Sea. We have a battalion in the NATO forward presence in Lithuania, in Romania. So we are there where needed. And that is, I think, also a very important measure for the commitment, Belgium's commitment to NATO. And the last thing on that, when we, in the efforts we will do to beef up our own defense expenditures, we will also consider our continued and substantial military support to Ukraine as part of that exercise, because we realize that the first line of our defense is in Ukraine.
Yes, and we protect all Europe and NATO border too. But without your supporting, without supporting of NATO countries and our other allies, it can be possible. And how do you think, can Europe protect itself without, for example, supporting and helping from the USA? Or the main question and goal in this Euro-Atlantic unity?
As I said, I do not think that we can say that in current times we are not working anymore in a sphere of a solid transatlantic solidarity. So that's for one. On the other side, it is important indeed that there was this conscious taking on the European side of the Atlantic that we have to do more. that we really have to be able to take care of our own defense. And I think this is an exercise that has already been a political mindset that is already in place before before President Trump came into power. So this conscience taking was there, but has been accelerated. I'm confident that as Europeans, together with United States, but with a stronger European pillar within that alliance, that we are perfectly capable of facing of addressing the challenges that we are facing.
Mr. Jacobs, thank you very much for your conversation, for your thoughts, and for your time. Take care. See you next time.
Thank you. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Luc Jacobs, the Ambassador of Belgium to Ukraine, was with us, with me, Irina Ozlova. Thank you guys for joining us, for watching. Leave your comments and subscribe to our YouTube channels. Take care.